Hey guys, Grandy Tamias here, and today I want to talk about the Transformers series that I enjoyed most growing up, Transformers Prime, and one of my favorite characters from it, Dreadwing.
Do not try me, traitor. I will leave your lifeless husk in this frozen waste.
Now, if the title and thumbnail of this video somehow didn't give it away, this video contains spoilers for events from a cartoon that happened 10 plus years ago. I assume if you clicked on this video, you've seen the series and already know what became of Dreadwing, but in case you need a refresher for what happened up to that point, I'll briefly explain. Plus, it'll add some context to my conclusions by the end of this video, and help you understand the impact of this character. Dreadwing was introduced in the second season of Transformers Prime as the twin brother of Skyquake, a Decepticon who was briefly featured in the first season. And much like Skyquake, Dreadwing acquired his vehicle mode by scanning Agent Fowler's jet, which was an animation-stylized Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II. They both also came equipped with very heavy weaponry. Whereas Skyquake was shown to carry a Gatling gun as far as we know, Dreadwing had a single large cannon that could fire laser blasts as well as grenades. Probably his signature tactic was his use of explosives, which he could set on a timer or activate remotely with a flip phone-looking device. He was also quite skilled with a sword, and was one of the few Decepticons aside from Megatron who could hold their own against Optimus Prime in a fight. Due to them sharing a split spark, Dreadwing was able to sense his brother's awakening and sudden demise from across the galaxy, and traveled to investigate. Upon reaching Earth, Dreadwing's ship was shot down by the Autobot wrecker Wheeljack, as an act of revenge for the death of his fellow wrecker Seaspray, who Dreadwing had killed with an explosive planted on his ship. In addition to Wheeljack, Dreadwing also had a rivalry with Optimus Prime, who knew of him back when he was the captain of a Seeker Armada during the War for Cybertron. The Wheeljack rivalry would be completely dropped after Dreadwing's debut episode, but his conflict with Optimus over Skyquake's death would be fleshed out more. Due to some distension in the Decepticon ranks at the time, Dreadwing quickly rose to the position of Megatron's first lieutenant. Throughout the season, Dreadwing participated in several notable moments, including a battle and subsequent team-up with Optimus Prime in Antarctica when Starscream took advantage of the Apex armor, raiding the tomb of one of the original 13 Primes with Megatron so that he could use their arm to wield the Forge of Solus Prime, and fighting Bulkhead one-on-one in a forest while searching for one of the Omega Keys. Both Dreadwing and Skyquake were primarily characterized by their sense of honor and loyalty to the Decepticon cause, and Optimus even tried to appeal to them with this multiple times to get them to join the Autobots, since Megatron didn't value those qualities beyond their usefulness to him. Megatron even tells Dreadwing,
"Loyalty such as yours is a rare commodity,"
which shows that he could have seen Dreadwing as disposable as his other troops if loyalty were more common. In addition, Megatron showed very little, if any, genuine care for the loss of Skyquake, and only used it to persuade Dreadwing into helping him achieve his goals. This all reached a tipping point near the end of Season 2, when Dreadwing learned that Starscream had used Dark Energon to reanimate Skyquake's corpse as a Terrorcon zombie, disgracing the legacy that Skyquake had as a warrior in life and the honor of the way he died. So when Starscream was allowed to return to the Decepticon ranks, Dreadwing was furious that Megatron condoned the desecration of his brother, and realized that Megatron's desire to win the war caused him to stray so far that he would end up tarnishing any respect the Decepticon name held. So Dreadwing decided to go behind Megatron's back and assist the Autobots by giving them the Forge of Solus Prime, but again decided to turn down Optimus's offer to join his team.
"Betraying my kind is not the same as accepting yours."
As one last act of revenge, Dreadwing returned to the Nemesis and tried to kill Starscream for raising Skyquake from the dead. But even when Megatron ordered Dreadwing to stand down, he refused to comply and was swiftly taken to meet Primus. And that's the end of Dreadwing. He's never mentioned again aside from one small remark by Starscream later in the episode.
"And that is why Dreadwing is pushing up lug nuts."
And the Autobots never questioned his disappearance during the battle for the Omega Lock or the entirety of Beast Hunters. Logically, they could have just assumed that Dreadwing went rogue, especially after he said,
"A shadow of disgrace has been cast upon the Decepticons. It is a cause I no longer wish to be part of."
As much as I love this show, I will admit that Dreadwing's death seemed a little forced. My best guess as to why he was killed off would have to be that his voice actor, Tony Todd, was getting too expensive to keep on the show. Side note, he also voiced the Fallen in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
My brothers will not stop me from this.
Transformers Prime infamously had a bunch of production issues, including going over budget, so killing off Dreadwing was likely done to cut costs on the show's celebrity voice cast. The same also happened to Cliffjumper as well as Breakdown. A similar thing happened with Arachnid, who was locked in a stasis pod for a long stretch of the show before being left on an unresolved plot thread. To even further back up this case with Dreadwing, there are 2 episodes where he appears but has no speaking lines. Hey, Editor Grandy Tamias here with a correction. There are actually 3 episodes where he doesn't speak. The 2 that I'm about to mention, plus the episode Hurt, where he just stands next to the other Decepticons when Megatron scolds them for losing the Icon relics. Doesn't really matter or change much, but it further backs up my point. Anyway, back to the video. He can be seen behind Megatron on the bridge of the Nemesis when Optimus hits it with the Starsaber at the end of the episode Legacy. And a few episodes later, he's walking through the halls with Megatron in the last scene of Inside Job. Megatron even speaks to Dreadwing, but he awkwardly says nothing, not even when Starscream interrupts them.
Please pardon my unannounced visit, Lord Megatron.
Getting back to the topic of his death, I was pretty bummed out about it when I watched the show back in the day. Besides it being anticlimactic, Dreadwing's decision to even attack Starscream in that moment barely made sense with his characterization. Not only that, the method in which he was killed was pretty contrived. He threw away his cannon in favor of using his sword to kill Starscream, even though he had not run out of ammo, and Megatron took advantage of that. Nitpicks aside, I always wondered what would have happened if Dreadwing had survived. The way I see it, if he hadn't chosen to try and kill Starscream, he probably would not have stayed with the Decepticons for much longer than he did. Maybe not even by the time of the quest for the Omega Lock in that same episode. I think Dreadwing could have just gone rogue right after he delivered the Forge to the Autobots, in which case he could have just been completely dropped from the show like Arachnid, or he could have returned in Season 3 somehow. It would make sense. Hasbro did make a Beast Hunters toy of him, which I never got. Not sure how he would have fit in with all the Predacon stuff they had going on that season, though. A lot was rushed during those 13 episodes, and honestly, Beast Hunters should have gotten the full 26-episode treatment. That would have given more than enough time to properly resolve what they had and given Dreadwing a complete arc. Though if Dreadwing was in Season 3 and had stayed with the Decepticons, it would have been weird when Predaking arrived. Their personalities are distinct enough that one of them would not make the other redundant to the story, but I still noticed a lot of similarities between them. Like Dreadwing, Predaking also lost relatives and blamed the Autobots, had a sense of honor, turned against Megatron. Heck, I even thought their voices sounded similar as a kid. Who knows, maybe if they had coexisted in the show, they could have teamed up. Back to my previous point, besides going rogue, another option could have been Dreadwing taking up Optimus Prime's offer and joining the Autobots, which I think would have been interesting. Dreadwing's loyalty had already been shaken up, and he could have felt so ashamed that maybe he could have turned to Optimus Prime and learned how to grow past that. Plus, he could have finally forgiven Optimus for Skyquake's death, especially after this line.
I bore Skyquake no malice, and I regret the role I played in his demise.
Though I imagine the other Autobots would have had trouble accepting Dreadwing into their ranks, especially Bulkhead and Wheeljack over Seaspray's death. I think that would have been a good source of conflict. And maybe with Dreadwing's help, the Autobots could have secured the Omega Lock and revitalized Cybertron. Not to mention, the Decepticons had figured out the location of the base, so if the Omega Lock mission still failed, Dreadwing could have served as extra air support along with Agent Fowler and Wheeljack to fight off the Decepticons while the rest of them evacuated, if Dreadwing didn't already do so as well. Maybe he's shot down in that attack and dies with honor, or gets captured like Wheeljack did, or if he gets away, his knowledge and resources could have allowed the Autobots to regroup sooner and launch a counterattack. Though I guess if Ultra Magnus had still come to Earth, Team Prime would have had too many advantages. I think Dreadwing staying rogue would have made more sense, at least during the Omega Lock mission and the first few episodes of Beast Hunters. Either way, Megatron would probably be upset initially that Dreadwing would leave, given that he had a similar reaction to Starscream doing so at the end of the episode Partners, with his concern being that Decepticon information would get into the hands of the Autobots. However, like I said, Megatron didn't really care about Dreadwing on a personal level, and he already got Starscream back, so maybe his reaction would have been lessened. So, do I think that Dreadwing should have lived? I mean, he left a good impact on the show as it is, but yes, absolutely. His characterization was deep, he had a cool design, was a badass warrior, and he joined the Allspark too soon. Megatron may have been the one to shoot him, but Dreadwing was really a casualty of the show's troubled production. And it's a shame, too. If things had been better, I think Dreadwing would have been destined for greatness and gotten the character arc that he deserved. Hey again, so I just found out that Hasbro recently made a brand new toy of Skyquake, which is a hybrid of his Transformers Prime design and the Generation 1 Skyquake design, who I didn't even know existed until now. And this probably means that they're going to release this toy model again in Dreadwing's colors. Just a coincidence I discovered while editing, but I just thought it was cool. Anyway, feel free to let me know in the comments. Do you think Dreadwing should have lived longer, or are you content with where his story ended? I have a couple other Transformers videos that you can check out, and I'll be reviewing Rise of the Beast when that movie releases. Plus, I'm open to suggestions if you want me to make more videos about TF Prime, Generation 1, or the movies. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed, have a nice day, and thank you for your time.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.